Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, and today I'm here to talk about Season 1, Episode 2 of Apple TV's Pluribus, entitled Pirate Lady. So this episode feels like a masterclass in what Vince Gilligan does best. Tension, mood, mystery, and that slow burn reveal where you spend a whole lot of time not knowing what's going on, and then at the end, everything comes to light. But now he's bringing that style to like sci-fi, and it's working better than I expected, especially coming out of the first episode, which again, that's not to say that I didn't think the first episode was great and very effective. I did. But like I said at the end of that video, I feel like we're going to have to build on this foundation a great deal if we're going to get 10 episodes and apparently 4 seasons of this show. But let's get into what happened in episode 2. So we open with again, classic Gilligan, long, wordless, weird, intriguing. We see a filthy woman dressed not unlike Jesus. And I do believe that to be intentional. She finds a body in a burned out car. Looks like somewhere in the Middle East based on the signage. She loads up this body into a truck and then is replaced by a guy who pulls up on a motorcycle. He stays with the truck. She leaves on the motorcycle, riding through this like what looks like a scorched coastal city. Because again, just like in Albuquerque, everything's smoking, buildings are burning. Like I said, everything's complete chaos, and it's just like what's going on in Albuquerque. So Dirty Jesus hops on a plane, but not as a passenger. No, she walks right into the cockpit because she's flying this thing, and she clears some wreckage that's right on the runway with like this arrogant little smirk on her face. Like, of course I did that. And then we get a title sequence, which we didn't get in episode 1. I'll probably be skipping that going forward, but we get one if that matters to you. But like I said, classic Gilligan scene that's captivating to watch while you have no earthly idea of what's going on. And as is the routine, by the end of the episode, when you look back on those opening scenes, they make sense. We know Earth's population is one hive mind now, and we know that they're working on cleaning up the mess that they made when some of these people died. Davis told us this little bit in his little information dump at the end of episode 1. That's what this Dirty Jesus woman was doing when she was, I'm assuming, directed or summoned. And no words need to be spoken because remember, hive mind, directed or summoned to go see Carol. Meanwhile, the countdown, which, as I established in episode 1's video, is now essentially a clock counting up from the moment of global infection, is sitting just under 12 hours. So that lets us know how long since everything jumped off. It's been about 12 hours. Carol wakes up on the floor, drunk. Helen's body is still there with her. So she goes outside and starts to dig a grave for Helen. And wouldn't you know, the plot and episode titles show up in her yard with a bottle of Aquafina, telling her that she's overexerting herself. But now clean, after having showered when she got off the plane, Dirty Jesus now stands in Carol's backyard, encouraging her to take a break. We will later learn that her name is Zosia. So that's what I'm going to refer to her as going forward, even though I thought Dirty Jesus Lady is really great and accurate description. But we'll go with her name from now on, Zosia. Carol pours out the suspicious Aquafina from hive minds looking to bring her into their control. Understandable. And we learn that they're months away from figuring out how to bring Carol into the fold, how she's immune, why, etc. I love that scene because when Zosia was offering the water, even I am in the moment. I'm like, why would she take this? She could just go into the house and get some water. This feels suspicious. So I'm glad that fact was pointed out. Zosia starts to leave after clearly upsetting Carol with the water situation, but Carol chases her down. And we also learned that Zosia looks like a female version of Raban, again, the male lead character in one of Carol's romance novels. Well, in the entire series, I believe. Carol says that was originally a female character, so how would Zosia know, or how would the hive mind know to send somebody who looks like that? Zosia says that Helen was one of them before she died, so she has all of Helen's memories and wants to tell her how much Helen loved her. And I believe it's at this moment, not earlier, that we come to understand that the moment from episode 1 where Carol's like, just say that Raban is based on George Clooney because that's safer. We come to understand that Raban was, as a woman, was based on Helen. I don't think you want to say that to all of the fans of your romance novel who love the male-female dynamic. Be like, yeah, it's actually originally was supposed to be a lesbian relationship. Probably not something that those fans specifically of that book would be into. But after Zosia says how much Helen loved Carol, Carol snaps, rightfully so. She's like, you killed her and now you want to speak for her. And she shouts and Zosia immediately just drops down like a brick, starts convulsing, just like when the original infections happened. And Carol takes off again, trying to find help. And the city is stuck in the apocalyptic freeze frame, right? Construction workers are frozen. You got cranes dangling men in midair. But as Carol is trying to help the guy who's dangling in midair, they all wake up again, snap back into action. And she ends up calling that mysterious number that Davis gave her in episode 1 and invites Zosia back into the picture. So this is when we learn that Carol's rage directed at them being the hive mind, which means anybody really, can trigger those seizure-like events worldwide and that people can die when it happens. And she learns that when she puts Zosia, she killed, I think she left off at more than hundreds of people and she ends up vomiting from learning that she killed more than hundreds of people, which is heavy. But then we later learned that number is 11 million people. Can you even imagine what it must be like to learn that your actions killed that many people and you didn't even know that would happen when you did it and you're finding out about it after the fact? Like, hey, just FYI, were you scared that little woman? Were you scared that woman? You killed 11 million people. What? We also learned that of the 12 unaffected individuals, 5 of them speak English as a second or third language, and Carol wants to meet with them. So Zosia telepathically contacts them instantly, and the 5 of them agree. And here's my thing with this moment. If those 5 are part of the unaffected people, your brain should default to, well, like, how can Zosia contact them? She's just like, she can't mentally contact Carol. But if they're around anybody who is affected, again, because it's a hive mind, and we know that they're around people because, as we'll later see, that they bring their family to this meetup, Zosia could probably just have whoever's in closest proximity to this people, but hey, you want to go over to Albuquerque and meet, well, they don't end up in Albuquerque, but you want to go meet up with this other person who's unaffected and wants to talk with you guys. So what made me like that moment is that the show doesn't explain that. You know, it's explained enough. It allows us to think about it, understand it, and draw these conclusions ourselves. But that's what Gilligan has consistently done. Like, he gives us just enough to understand what's happening and then trust us as intelligent viewers to make the connections that we need when needed. I all through my Better Call Saul coverage, shouting out that kind of thing. So Carol and Zosia hop on a plane. It's entirely empty except for them, but Carol chooses to sit at the very last row rather than first class as any other human would do on an empty airplane when the whole world is infected with the virus. And when Zosia goes to check on her to see if she's cool, Carol's like, who's flying the plane? That girl in the TGI Fridays uniform? Maybe concentrate on her. And like, man, I have been consistently amazed at how funny this show is in the midst of incredibly dark and creepy subject matter. But Carol and Zosia, they're off to Bilbao, Spain, to meet the 5 English speakers. And Zosia remarks that she can't protect the unaffected people from one another, which, well, why would you say that? Like, to me, that was a huge red flag. Like, do you anticipate that we're going to want to attack each other? Like, that was pretty ominous. But Carol ends up arriving in Bilbao to meet the other unaffected, but only 4 of them initially are there until the 5th one arrives in Air Force One, which he has repurposed for himself. The others also have their families there, which is an interesting dynamic because even though these people are physically appear as their family and are still responsive as alert people, those people aren't their family. They're everybody, which Carol will go on to cruelly and hilariously point out later in the episode. But it's at this point that the show raises an interesting question. The show raises interesting questions every fucking 5 to 10 minutes. But Carol kicks out all the unaffected people so she can speak alone with the 5. I'm sorry, she kicks out all of the affected people so she can speak with the 5 unaffected people. She basically learns that the rest of them are fine with this. You know, there's peace. There's no war. There's no racism. We're all living pretty good. Why would we change this? I mean, my man flew up in Air Force One. Why would he want to change anything? Then on top of that, Carol learns that her outburst killed one of these people's grandfather when they were driving, and then the grandfather froze at the wheel of the car crash and he died. Like, now, so not only does she know that she's killed a whole bunch of people, now she has an even personal situation where now you are facing someone. You are not confronting, but you are confronting the fact that you inadvertently killed this person's grandfather. Another one of them says that they want to become one of the infected and rejoin their family. We also learned that they've all asked what it's like to be part of the hive mind. They call it joining. But Carol, she's not buying into the utopia. She asked what they want to do, and they're like, hey, let's go to lunch, which was such a weird response, but whatever. But boy, does that lunch scene deliver. It goes from something that starts out pretty harmless and funny to something that's absolutely horrifying. We learned that the hive, they say that they can't harm anyone, and Carol calls BS on that, saying that like, oh, wow, you can't harm anyone, but you could enslave the entire planet without their permission because nobody asked for this. But mind you, for the entirety of these 2 episodes, Carol has been dropping F-bombs left and right. And when one of the women asked her to stop cursing in front of her kid, Carol absolutely ethers this woman, proving it's not her child by having the child answer all sorts of very mature questions about gynecological exams. It's simultaneously hilarious, but then you can laugh at that, but then you're also like, this is incredibly cruel and heartless too. Like what a harsh way to throw the truth in this woman's face. But it's basically just how I describe Carol's personality at this point. Hilarious and cruel. But the idea of people dying during a joining raises a question. How many people died during the original infection? The one that, is represented by 0 on the countdown /clock. Zosia dances around answering it first, talking about how it was initially fine, but they had to accelerate things once the military got involved, which eventually leads to her admitting that the actual number of people who died during the original joining is, let me look and see, 886,477,591 people. To which Carol replies, guess you got to break a few eggs. Man, listen, that is probably my favorite line that I've heard anyone say on any show all year. What a flawless response that encapsulates both the horror of the number and the casualness with which it was created. Like, man, I loved that line. But again, that's Gilligan, man. Like, that line sat with me. Like, guess you got to break a few eggs. Like, Jesus Christ, almost 1 billion people, which was a few eggs to them. Like, that's crazy. I loved that line. But the lunch scene wasn't over, folks. This is when we learned that Carol killed 11 million people with her outburst after calling everyone traitors to the human race. Again, I feel like rightfully so. Which Carol's right in a lot of the ways, a lot of the things that she is responding to and a lot of things she's saying, she's just saying in the absolute worst way possible. But she storms off, but she trips and falls to the ground. And when Zosia tries to hug her while she's on the ground, Carol freaks out and pushes her and yep, everybody starts convulsing again. And now the unaffected people are standing there watching their loved ones convulse. And again, that's the brilliance of this show right here with this scene, at least in these first 2 episodes. It doesn't matter that these individuals aren't literally their family members and that they're everybody in the world. That doesn't matter. They're having to watch people who visually appear to be their children and their significant others and their family have these violent spasms that they have no say over, with the knowledge that anytime this happens, people die. So they might have to sit there and watch their kid die, even though that might not be their kid on the inside, but once they're dead, that kid's not coming back, right? So, and then Carol has to watch with the knowledge that she just caused that. It's a terrifying scene to watch that wouldn't be possible without flawless writing in building out this world. But let me know in the comments, like, is Carol's inability to control her anger really the biggest threat on this show? How is she going to get this under control? Let me know what you think. So Carol wakes up later. She takes a drink. She calls Zosia. She asks if there's a way to stop the seizures. She says there's not. The others, they've all left except for the one guy, Mr. Air Force One. He wants to talk to Carol, and you think it might be about something important, like maybe an olive branch, like, hey, I changed my mind. Let's work together to try to figure this situation out. But no, he asked for Carol's permission to essentially add Zosia to his harem, saying that he really feels like they hit it off. And we all know that Zosia isn't even a person to hit it off with. She's everybody. So she just wants to make people happy. You're going to feel good around her. That's the point. But that's not a person. That's everybody. But Zosia says she can't say yes or no to either of them because it would hurt one of them. And that's probably my only critique in these first 2 episodes. I don't think the show did a good enough job of convincing me that Carol cares about Zosia to that degree. But Carol allows it. She boards her own plane to leave while Zosia leaves on a plane to go to Las Vegas with Mr. Air Force One and the rest of his harem. But then in a last minute move, she gets off the plane, stops their plane, and that's where we end the episode. And I can't even really anticipate this trip to Vegas because I don't even know what to guess might happen. Like that's how wild this show is. Like I'm looking forward to the next episode of seeing what happens in Vegas, even though I don't even have an inkling of an idea of what might happen or because they don't even have a goal. It's not like they're going there to like here's step 2 in solving the mystery. Like he's just going to party. But I don't know. Another wild ride with this episode. Even better than episode 1, I think. I'm now fully bought in and locked in on this show. I already was, but I really thought episode 2 did a lot to really draw me in. It's proven that even when it seems like there might not be many places for this show to go, that we should just put our trust in Vince Gilligan because he continues to masterfully expand the scope of this show in a really interesting and exciting way. I do still wonder where it's going. Like, what's its end game? What's the point? I don't know yet, but now I'm no longer going to worry about it. And I'm just going to trust Vince Gilligan has a great journey in store for me and all of us as he always has. So let me know what you thought in the comments. Like the channel, subscribe, share your social media, join the Discord, join the conversation. And until next week, peace.